Put your hands together for the hosts of DevCentral Connects live from their home studio, Boo Lamb and Jason Rom.
Hey there, DevCentral community. Welcome to another Thursday episode. Today we're going to be talking about ThreatStack, which is a new acquisition for F5. We haven't really covered it a whole lot on DevCentral Connect, so we're excited to talk to you all about that today. I'll be joined by Peter Scheffler, fellow Canadian. He's actually in Seattle right now, so he's in America, but he is Canadian. Also, I'll bring on my co-host in just a second, Jason Rom, and we'll be talking to Peter. But I wanted to go over a few things ahead of that. First of all, we are streaming to a number of different locations today. We're streaming to YouTube, times 3 actually, to different YouTube. So whichever YouTube, if you are on YouTube right now watching us, there's a subscribe button down here. You want to hit that and make sure that's gray, so that signifies that you are subscribed. There's a bell so that you can hit that to get all the notifications for when we go live and when we upload new videos as well, depending on the channel that you're watching this from. If you're watching from the DevCentral YouTube channel, then you'll be receiving our how-to content, our user-contributed content. If you're watching from our F5 channel, there's various things about F5 as a corporate organization, our BF5 initiatives, and that type of information on there as well. We're also streaming to F5 Labs YouTube today. So F5 Labs is our threat research organization, and you'll be finding more content there. We're developing that, but more content there around security research. And we're also streaming to LinkedIn and to Twitter on the various channels as well. So wherever you're watching us from, hopefully you are subscribed to that. I will also mention that we have mentioned this 2 weeks ago. We recently upgraded our platform, which is now community.f5.com. So you want to update your bookmarks for that. It used to be devcentral.f5.com. Still called DevCentral, but we've changed the URL to reflect what it is. And I will mention on there, I'm going to bring this up right now. Oh, there it is. We have different sections of the platform now. We have these tech forums where you can go and ask questions and interact with the community. The water cooler is also where you can interact with the community in a non-technical way. We still have our articles. We have something called Crowdsource, which is articles that are written for or written by the community. Our news is on there as well. But I'll highlight this. We have groups on there and different groups that you can interact with. But one special group is called DevCentral Connects. And inside of that group, we have this DCC forum. Now, as we do these shows, we are going to be posting, we've got a couple up on there at this point. We're going to be posting the links that were shared during the show on there, just so that you can go back and find that information. And, if we go back to this one here, previously had on Robin Mordashevitz. So, a link to the show, and then also some of the links that were shared during the show, just in case you missed them while you were watching us, and we can keep that kind of stuff on there. So you want to go check that out. Again, that's community.f5.com. Head down to groups. We've got DevCentral Connects, and we've got the DCC forum on there as well. And while you're in there, drop into the other sections of the site and check out the articles, how-to articles, and the water cooler if you want to drop in your Wordle score on there as well. So with all that said and mentioned, I will go ahead and bring on my co-host here today. Jason, how you doing?
I am quite well. How are you? Well, I'm
I'm
almost quite well. I'm like, trending north. We've been in various stages of sick now. We're going on week 3 in the ROM house. So I caught another thing over the weekend. And so I'm mostly back. My voice is a little bit not 100% yet, but mostly I'm okay.
I'm hearing the progress, and that's great to hear and see. Jason, I've got our question of the day for you today, and I'll present it to Peter as well when we bring him on. But last week I asked you about what your first computer was. Today I'd love to learn about what your first cell phone was.
My first cell phone. Okay. It was a Motorola, but it was a bag phone. I don't really remember the model, but it was for my car. And
Wow.
it was, about yay big was the bag, about this wide, about this thick. And it sat in the console of my truck, between, my seat and my wife's seat. And that was, gosh, I guess it was right before we got married. I was 92, 93, somewhere in that time. So it's been a while, but yeah, it was a bag phone.
Wow. I haven't actually heard them referred to as a bag phone before, so that's pretty cool.
What'd you call them?
I don't know if we had a name for it like that, or maybe there was a name, but because I wasn't into cell phones right at that period, or didn't have one of those styles, I wasn't aware of the name.
Yeah, it looked like military. It's like it hadn't quite been commercialized yet, and so they still looked very much like a military pack that would be out in the field.
Yeah. That's interesting. Folks, if you are watching right now, would love to hear about what your first cell phones were as well. You can drop that into the comments. I'll bring up my first cell phone here, which was the classic Nokia 6190. That was a solid phone. Like you could throw that at a brick wall. It was a brick itself, but you could throw that at a brick wall and it would still keep ticking away, and you could go on and play Snake on that thing immediately after that impact.
Was that like 99, 2000, somewhere in there?
I think so. Maybe I
Okay,
want to say 98 or so.
I don't know if it was exactly that model, but it certainly looked exactly like that model. And yeah, even my 2-year-old son knew how to use that. He called my boss at 6 a.m. on a Saturday from that phone, and he was none too pleased to be getting a call from me, but a toddler babbling at him on a Saturday at 6 a.m.
Yeah, that's pretty hilarious. That was way before the days of Face ID or Touch ID and all these different things you have to insert into your phone in order to get it to unlock.
Cody has given you some props for your first phone there.
Yeah, Cody, let's hear what your first phone was. In the meantime, let's see if the segue works, and we'll bring on our special guest today. All right, that did work today. Welcome, Peter, to the show. We'd love to hear about what your first cell phone was.
Hey, so like Jason, my first phone was, I think it was 92. Pretty sure it was 92, maybe 92 or 93. And it was a Motorola. It was a Motorola flip phone. It was probably about that big, that thick. and it had like push button, kind of digitally screen buttons and an LED screen. And the battery lasted about 4.5 seconds, and was about the size. It really was a man pack phone. Like it was the battery was probably 2/3 of the phone. It was a battery you could pop off, and it got stolen. So we got our apartment broken into, and the only day I didn't take it with me, I always took it with me. I was working on the road for a software for a hardware software company. And I always had my phone with me. And the one day I didn't take it with me, our apartment got broken into, and a bunch of stuff got stolen. And they stole my phone. And I replaced it with exactly the same model, except it didn't have the flip. And I also had that 6190. And I will tell you, a friend of mine, or a guy I worked with years ago, a friend of mine worked for Motorola and was a phone rep for Motorola in the late 80s, early 90s. And they retrofitted phones, for cars, for phones and stuff like that. And they literally, one of their selling points was to throw the phone in the boardroom. So when they would be going in to talk to somebody about, hey, you need to buy this, you need to buy this for your sales, your sales staff and everything like that, and he literally would just take it and whip it all across the room. And it hit the wall, and pick it up, and it would still work. Like that was a selling point. I don't think I really want to throw my iPhone across the room, so I am not gonna test that.
No, for sure.
My first job in IT was on a help desk, and so part of that was issuing out phones to different folks, especially the executives who were traveling, and the amount of things that they managed to do to their phones, like one guy had accidentally left his phone in his pocket as he was on vacation on the beach and just had a dip in the ocean. And I'm like, how do you, like, the phones back then, it was a big BlackBerry 7290, so not a trivial size, but managed to keep that in his shorts pocket as he went into the ocean. Amazing.
That's the story he gave you. That's all I will say.
That's true. Yes.
The reality was significantly different and might have involved some bad decisions. So, yeah.
That
true.
doesn't happen, Peter. That doesn't happen.
Oh, okay, right. Hey, I'm on the road right now, and I never make bad decisions on the road. So, exactly.
I used to work, without divulging too much, I used to work for a mining company, and you kind of see some of the stuff that happens in the news, like what it takes to get a mine deal sorted out with local governments and stuff like that. I'm sure weird things happen in order to make those deals happen.
So there's a lot of love in the comments for Nokia. So yeah, that was the big brand of the day. I mean, Motorola still, was around and all that, but there was a lot of market share back and forth there for a little while. But Nokia was certainly the big player for several years there at the turn of the century.
Yeah. And then Samsung sort of came onto the market. I had a Samsung flip phone, tiny thing, like just, I think it was like that big. And I liked that one. I had that one for a few years, and that one even had it was pretty high tech because it had like a voice memo option on it or something like that. So when so you could take a voice note, or I think even it had the T9 texting on it. That would have been like 2003, 2004 kind of time. So
yeah, that T9 texting I think was really big in Europe. They really adopted that really well. I didn't notice as many people using it over here, though.
Yeah.
So Peter, let me give you a second here if you want to introduce yourself for those of you. I mean, you've been on a number of times before, but those of you out there who haven't met Peter before on the show, why don't you let us know what you do?
What do I do? I am a security solutions architect with F5. I just passed my 10-year anniversary, so I'm pretty happy. I've been able to sneak around, and HR hasn't been able to find me, so I'm feeling pretty happy with that. And as a security solutions architect, there's a few of us, and we sort of help customers find innovative solutions for security related problems. So my background is application development and application security in varying formats and stuff. I guess with F5 now, I do a lot of our, I guess we're now calling it web application protection and API protection. So the WAP with the double A. So that's a lot of what I'm doing, a lot of cloud sort of protection. And also I dabble quite a bit in crypto. I'm a crypto nerd. I like to read up and tinker with stuff. You mentioned Wordle. I like Wordle simply because of the crypto analytic kind of angle to it, to to try to do some frequency analysis and figure out what things are like that. So so that's me in a, I don't know, that was a very large nutshell, but I think that's me. So
That is cool. I've in honing my Wordle strategy, I've gone down the YouTube rabbit hole of machine learning and figuring out, putting it through a machine learning pattern to figure out what the most ideal first word would be. So it's been interesting to see people analyze analyze that. And not to divert ourselves from the topic today, but next week's show will be blockchains and NFT part 2 with Kevin Jones, and he'll be spitting up a blockchain application on the fly as a demo with us. So that'll be cool. Peter, we'd love to maybe on a future show see if we can collaborate on something as well.
cool. That would be very cool. Thanks.
Yeah. So we are here today to talk about ThreatStack, though. Maybe we'll let you dive into that, Peter. That was a most recent acquisition for F5, and it looks like it does some really cool stuff. But we haven't featured it on the show yet.
So yeah, let's take a step back then and let's look at why ThreatStack opposed to there's a lot to it, and the technology addresses a significant concern in the market. We're all pushing applications to the cloud, and we're pushing, we're running applications in multiple places. We got customers with hundreds, thousands of workloads that they need to maintain and monitor, and it becomes a challenge to understand what each one of those workload platforms are doing, and that's where we start to that's where vulnerabilities creep in. So we become concerned about what vulnerabilities are on that stack. We're concerned about how people might infiltrate and then infiltrate into your network and then exfiltrate data and information out. And doing that at scale is very challenging. So what the market is looking at now is what's called cloud workload protection. And there's a couple different ways you can do cloud workload protection. And the way ThreatStack has addressed it, and they've been around for several years now, is by you mentioned some machine learning and other technologies to use for solving Wordle. Well, we can use that also to figure out what is happening on devices. We can learn what is normal on a device. We can learn what we expect those devices to do. We can apply some generic characteristics if we want, and say, hey, this is a database application, and this is a web server, and it should it should be doing these kind of things. Or we can infer that from what happens on that machine. And so what ThreatStack does is allows us to monitor what's happening inside that application stack. It happens on the platform itself. And so if you are running a VM, or you have a container, or what we can do then is we can monitor the interactions that device is doing with other devices. So is it is it calling out on a particular port? Is that a normal thing for that platform to do? Have we ever seen it before? Has it ever spoken to this device? Has it ever created a socket over here? Has a new user logged in that we've never seen before? All those kind of things become interesting events. Without machine learning, you just can't fathom the number of events that you're getting. Like, so even just having a few devices, you end up with thousands of these events, like tens of thousands of these events. And so the machine learning allows us to start to say, okay, wait a minute, these are benign. This is okay, or it's not something that we need to worry about. So what ThreatStack can do is it can surface those scary events and surface in the dashboard. It can surface it to a webhook, whatever you need, wherever you need that to go to, and notify you that there's something going on. So what we had last week with the Spring for Shell vulnerability, that's an opportunity for somebody to try to execute a command on your machine. So it's a command execution vulnerability. And so with that, I might try to, or let's say an attacker might try to run wget on your machine and pull down a reverse shell that they can then execute on your machine. Well, those are things that might be happening around, through your application stack, and that could sneak through. And so with the cloud workload protection, we're on the device looking for those kind of events. Why is it's reaching out to the internet? This is an internal database server. There's no reason for it to do that. So we can notify you that that's happening, and also block that. So we can say, wait a minute, that device is compromised. Let's suspend that device and stop those things. It's very simple to deploy, and that's one of the real hallmarks of the ThreatStack solution. You deploy an agent on these devices, so essentially we tie into the notification infrastructure on the device, and that then is how we send the information back to the cloud to be searched and managed. A conversation with somebody yesterday, about concerns with, it's like, okay, I'm going to run a machine on a model on all these devices. That become, that's a heavy workload. I don't want to do that. Well, the beauty is we aren't doing anything different, because all we're doing is we're taking events that are happening already and we're just pushing them out to the cloud. All the intelligence and all the machine learning is happening off box. And then we're messaging back to that device in the event that we need to mitigate some sort of vulnerability. So
that's interesting. So please do, anybody in the watching right now, please do leave your comments or ask some questions in the comments if you have any for Peter. I'm wondering, Peter, when you say deploy an agent, are we talking about service mesh? Are we talking about actually, on a VM, we're deploying an agent inside of an operating system?
So we tie into the Audit D on a Linux box, or we tie into the Windows messaging system on a Windows box. So it's actually replacing that Audit D process, and so we're changing that on the device. So you can push that out with it's a 2-line change. You can push that out with automation to get that on your different devices. You could put that as part of your normal image, and so what we have done is part of our deployments now. That is just in the Linux distro. So we update that to include the image. If you if you were spinning a device up, you could have that replaced with Cloud Init script or something like that to update it, so it's automatically. So as you hydrate a device in the cloud, it just gets added to it. So. And then it just becomes a device in your dashboard for you to look at. So
that's pretty cool. Yeah, so it's no different than like customizing your TCP stack or anything
exactly.
like that. It's just a config change and good to go. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Yeah, and it calls home. It knows who it is, and that is then the messaging system just sort of works through that process. So
Yeah, Peter Silva actually posted a question here. How does this relate to some of the MDM solutions people have heard of over the years?
So MDM, or whatever those three letters are these days. Those it randomly changes, and I honestly don't know what we call an MDM today. But an MDM, for those of you may not know what the acronym is, maybe you predate the or that predates your experience, is an onboarding tool for or for managing mobile devices. So mobile device management is what the MDM stands for. And so it's a little different in that those are sort of creating an enclave on your device where secure things would or trusted events are happening, or trusted actions are happening. So I'm going to create an enclave on my device where I can run, I can run Word, and I can only do things with Word inside that enclave. I can't save the file outside of it or something like that. So it's a little different in how Threat Stack is monitoring the device. Threat Stack that wouldn't also necessarily monitor your phone. I mean, I guess conceivably that would be another market that we could that could entertain, but it's typically going to be for a server endpoint, or or a laptop, or a user's device too is completely fine to be monitored, and probably should be. Normally when I'm thinking of this, I'm thinking more of the cloud workload, like the device that's sitting up in Azure or GCP or whatever it is. And actually, one thing I didn't mention is when we also interface with like something like AWS, we actually interface with the Cloud API to understand how that's working as well. So again, as I was sort of prepping for this, I likened it to we a few years ago we talked about the shared responsibility model, right? That the cloud vendors have, like
Yeah.
how managed is the service that you are using, and how much onus is on you to do the security of it. And so when we push these devices out into the cloud, sometimes we want to be able to, or these workloads out to the cloud, we want to be able to make sure that the cloud vendors are doing what they want to do, what we say we want to do. So by tying into the API, and we can actually pull those CloudTrail events into the information and use those as items to surface interesting conversations that the device is having. So even if you can't replace that audit component, the cloud vendor is providing a lot of that information that you can use to track too. So you can pull that information from the in AWS case, the CloudTrail infrastructure, and that's and so to me, sort of I was thinking about this cloud responsibility, or this shared responsibility model that allows you to validate that things are going well without having to do a lot. Like you're sort of getting that as a node that you're gathering data from.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so you talked about the visibility aspects and how that leads to the analysis aspects. Jose has a good question here about does it also block this kind of event, or is it just reporting?
Right. It also blocks, right? So you can have it say, I whatever mode you want, you can suspend the device, or suspend the process, whatever you need to do, and block that as well. And you can have it automatically. If it surfaced those things and has a certain level of criticality to it, you can have those automatically be blocked. So, and we have a SOC as part of this as well. So we're getting a whole SOC drawer, I think, now. And and there's a lot of help that the SOC can provide our customers to understand the incidents that might be surfaced from that. So that's a very handy thing, and we're proactive in our model too. So as Spring for Shell lit up last whatever it was, Thursday or Friday, last week, whenever it was. The threat stack, there's nothing that you need to do to protect yourself from it. We update the model, we start to see those things pop up. Everybody's model is updated, so there's not something you need to go in and say, oh, I need to apply new signatures or anything like that. It's done at the model level. We're just running it against the events that are happening. So
that's very cool. Jeremiah Fowler also has a question. So the way data is sent to threat stack, is that a configurable, like you're actually making calls for that data? Is that a pull or is it a push? What is it like that? It's something totally different.
It is a push. Oh, sorry, my Mac just said it's. I got to plug my laptop in. Sorry, hang on.
No problem at all.
I just got a notification say plug it in now, or I'm shutting down. Sorry. It is a push. The data is going up, and it's not a. Well, it might be a REST call. To be honest, Jeremiah, I don't have the exact answer for that. I'm sure I've read it, but it's escaping me right now. It is all API driven. There is a web UI that you can go and look at stuff, but all that information is API-able. So there is a mechanism to interact with it programmatically. How the agent is pushing it up, if it's a REST call, I believe it is an HTTP REST call that it's making, but I'd have to verify. So maybe we can put that in the show notes or something like that afterwards. I'll get that answer for everybody.
Cool. Yeah, we'll add that to the show notes on DevCentral in the DCC community forum. So if you're not registered for DevCentral, make sure you do at community.f5.com. And we'll have those answers posted there for you. Just on the overhead side, it would surprise me if it's a request per event kind of thing, rather than something like a syslog, even if it's not syslog, even though it's not syslog. But
right.
I'm interested to see
some sort of stream that would be pushing it up, right? Because there are a lot of events. I was, I had the dashboard up and, could show it if we wanted to, but it's, there's, like I said, even in our little, the North American SA team, we've got a few devices. I think we've got like 7 devices. I think most of whom are devices that Coleman has scattered around the internet. They're generating tens of thousands of requests, right? So or events, right? So there's a lot. Every time a file gets accessed, every time a user logs in, all those events are happening from audit D, right? If you were to watch what audit D is doing, we're getting all those events. So it's a pretty chatty thing. So and that's why you really need the machine learning. Otherwise, you just surfacing, you just get so much noise, you wouldn't know what you're looking at.
Yeah, we'll have to have you back for demo time. Would love to see a walkthrough.
Sure.
But for now, if somebody wants to kick the tires, if they want to go see some pre-recorded demos out there, where do they go?
So they can go to threatstack.com. They are part of F5 for sure, but you can go to threatstack.com and sign up for a free trial there. You can reach out to your favorite F5er, and we can certainly hook you up as well. There's more information on F5's site. So I think I saw somebody put I think Pete put the threatstack.com there. I do believe there's some stuff off our website too, and we've got some good videos or available on our YouTube channel too. So
awesome. Very cool. Thank you very much, Peter, for jumping on today. And we look forward to having you on again to talk through a demo.
Hopefully my hotel Wi-Fi wasn't too messed up today. So
worked out
great.
It
came through clear and not choppy at all to me. So,
and I did want to have my curtain open because there's a great view of Mount Rainier over my shoulder, but with the lighting, that's not going to work. So too bad.
Yeah. No worries. All right. Thanks, Peter. Till next time.
Thanks for having me, guys. Good
Thank you so much.
Bye. All right. Always a joy to have Peter Scheffler on.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's great. And F5, you talk about visibility into stuff, and often when the industry abstracts things, that's great from a standpoint of coming in and getting started, but it's not so great at understanding what's going on behind the hood, right? And so,
Yeah.
you could have you put it in the house analogy, right? You have your walls up and everything looks good on the inside, but maybe you have like a termite nest that's just rotting out your structure completely, and your house is about to fall down. You have no idea, and until it happens,
It's true.
right? And so abstracting things is good and necessary. I get that, but if you don't understand what's going on behind the scenes, that's not so good. And so having tools that are doing that work for you, that allows you the best of both worlds, that's not a bad thing.
Yep. Yep. That's a great point, Jason. And I get why you probably brought up the house analogy. So there we go.
I am very much into the house analogies right now. My house will be on the market at some point this year, hopefully.
All right. Well, we could do a whole show advertising that.
That's right.
Let's speaking of shows, let's bring up what we've got up next. We've got Security Sidebar coming up next Tuesday. Peter Silva will be back and joined by the Labs folks. They'll be talking about Spring 4 Shell. I mentioned this one before, DevCentral Connects, blockchains, NFTs. We'll bring back Kevin Jones. He teased us that he would be able to do a demo of a blockchain application really, really quickly. He showed us a preview of that. Looks fun. Something that anybody can get into pretty quickly. And then one last one we'll mention here, Jason, the core. Next one, what do you got for us?
Yeah, I'm actually going to do a little bit of automating your packet captures on Big IP. So I've been working on a little thing. It's out in GitHub in my repo now. If you want to go take a look at it ahead of the show, but I'm going to be iterating on that a little bit and just looking at how you can do some of the things that you need to do to get captures and keys and quick views and all that collected in order to move your case along faster. And so anyway, built some stuff. We're going to play with it, extend it, and then talk about it and see what other utilities you might like. Maybe you want to pull down a capture and have it like pull out the top 15 streams, or you want to find all the TCP resets that are this way, and you just need a summary. Hey, go into the packet capture, look at these five streams. These don't look so good. And that way, before you even open Wireshark, you kind of know what you're looking for. So it's those kinds of things that I want to expand the project to be. That's not there day one, but it's interesting to me. And so I'm trying to expand my not only my packet analysis skills, but also my programmatic skills around that using PyShark and Scapy, which are two Python modules. So yeah, join me for the core. We'll have some fun.
That will be pretty cool. I don't know if I'm, probably been a while since you've opened up a support case, Jason, but I've seen customers open them up before when they need a packet capture. The support engineer sends an email like this to do the things that you're automating. So that's going to be awesome. I think that's
You answer 3 questions and then reproduce it, and the script does everything else for you.
That's amazing. That will be, I think a lot of people internally at F5 will be happy about that too. So that's pretty cool. All right, Jason, I am going to, did we get, my comments are just catching up here. Thanks, Peter, for sharing that one.
Yeah, it's actually this one.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I got 2 accounts out there. One's more private stuff, and then one's more F5 focused. So
all right, everybody, go look at the proper one, not the secret one, please.
That's right.
All right, cool. Thank you very much, Jason, for joining me today. Thank you, community, for checking this out. And we will see, Peter, we'll see you all next week on Tuesday. Bye, folks.
Take care.